Hey, Sander Holt here, the primal sex expert. And today I'm going to talk about Morningwood, but nothing else. Why do we sometimes get erectile dysfunction even though we got Morningwood, and how to fix it? So I'm going to start off by talking about the differences between Morningwood and sexual erections. And then I'm going to talk about the two main causes guys lose their sexual erections, which is really important because almost every guy runs into at least one of those two, if not both. And then in a moment, I'm going to talk about how to turn all that around with a really simple, free technique that will not only help you boost those sexual erections, but will help you last longer in bed. So let's start with Morningwood versus sexual erections. The biggest difference is that Morningwood is way simpler because the mind and emotions aren't involved. The only thing that Morningwood needs, basically, is good testosterone levels and good blood flow. That would be like nitric oxide and good vascular health. So the good news is if you're getting Morningwood, then your plumbing and your testosterone levels are probably doing pretty good. Now contrast that with sexual erections, because now we got the mind and emotions involved. So we got to deal with not only having to have optimal testosterone and blood flow, but we also have to have dopamine sensitivity, oxytocin, relaxation, arousal, and immersion if we want to keep that erection. That's a lot more to deal with. But we can narrow it down to two basic things that guys deal with that cause that loss of sexual erection. First is dopamine insensitivity. And second is an abundance of norepinephrine. So let's start with number one. It's primarily due to porn addiction, dopamine insensitivity. So if you watch porn, if you're addicted to porn, your brain gets flooded with dopamine, which desensitizes those receptors, which are critical for sexual erections. So if you're addicted to porn, watch my video on how to overcome porn-induced erectile dysfunction. Now the second is norepinephrine, having too much of it in your system. That means you're in that fight or flight mode. You're in your sympathetic nervous system. And that happens a lot. Because if you look at this, parasympathetic nervous system is what promotes our erections. That's when we're relaxed and there's hardly any norepinephrine in our system. But a lot of guys are in this sympathetic nervous system. They're really stressed, and there's lots of norepinephrine, which causes them to not only lose their erection, but ejaculate too quickly. So how do we turn that around? Well, one of the best ways to do it is to activate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve takes us right into that parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us get those sexual erections and last as long as we want. This vagus nerve comes out of the brainstem, innervates the heart and lungs for breathing, and then it goes into the gut. And then the gut interfaces with our sex organs through this nerve plexus. So how do we do that? How do we activate it? Well, you'll also see with this vagus nerve that it innervates the throat. So deep breathing is a big part of this. So if we breathe in through our nose, because we build up more nitric oxide when we breathe through the nose, and then exhale even slower than we inhaled, and that could be through the nose or mouth, that will activate the vagus nerve. But to take it even a step further, if we hum, because the vagus nerve innervates our vocal cords, it really activates that vagus nerve. Not only does that really relax you, getting ready for those sexual erections, but you can actually feel it in your genitals when you do this correctly. So do that before you go into the bedroom, and it will make a big difference in how you can perform. Because now you got relaxation, now you're just going to get aroused. And I'm going to go much more into that in the next video because we're going to go deep into performance anxiety. how to stay rock hard when you're nervous, even when you're with a new partner or you lose hardness a lot. All right, it's going to be a great video. I'll see you there.